10th September 2024. This is my log for my recent experiences regarding meditation and out-of-body experiences. Since I'm going to talk about 3 different experiences with multiple exits, it is going to be a long video, so let's get ready with a little bit of coffee. On 5th September, I was quite busy at school, so I couldn't meditate during the day, and I went back to the apartment and meditated before falling asleep. This was around 9 p.m. and around 9:45 p.m. I started to feel the air pulsations going on, and I waited for the connection to be established. And I was also waiting for my body to feel lighter, but this was not happening. It was difficult to pull myself out completely, but I forcefully did that and went to the window and jumped outside. The first thing I noticed was that everything was very, very clear. And I also remember mentioning, wow, this is so clear. And I was just back. I felt that I could get out again. So I rolled out of the bed and went out the window, jumped outside. And I was repeating the affirmations. I want to go see my parents and give them some energy. And with this thought, I started to move slowly, as if some force is just pulling me from back gradually and taking me where my parents are. I knew that if I wanted to see from the front side, I could, but I also had a doubt because the last time I tried to see from front side, everything went black and there was nothingness. So I didn't want to do the same mistake again, and I remained there without desiring to see it from the front direction. First, it started to move slowly, but I thought we can move faster than this. Then the movement started to become a bit faster, and I could see different things moving past by, houses, trees, and things like that. And soon I arrived to the place where I saw my parents, and it was not the same as it is back in Nepal, but I was happy to see them, and I told them I want to give them some energy. They were happy to see me there, but I'm sure it was just their subconscious, because when I talked with them later, they didn't remember anything. My mom said probably maybe faint memory of some dreamlike state, but not completely. She couldn't remember anything, and my father couldn't remember anything either. So probably must have been subconscious responses that I was communicating with. Anyways, I was about to do Reiki-like energy transfer through different chakra points of their bodies, and at this point, I just got back to my body. I still felt that I could get out of my body, and as I was trying to get out, I felt that my lower jaw was pulled back like that very strongly, and I could feel the pressure around the end of the jaw around here. It was very difficult, but I also noticed I couldn't move it anymore because the body was completely locked or in a sleep paralysis state. So I got out anyways, and I was thinking I want to be back in the same place, and I was back in the same place. It felt like there was a pause, like a video playback pause. I was there trying to send energy from my hands to my parents. Then I was in my body, back in my room where I was sleeping, and I got out, and as I thought I want to be there again, I was there, as if I had never left, and only that it was in a pause situation and I was just continuing. That felt a bit strange, and I was hovering my hand through different chakra points, different parts of the body, sending them energy. Then I again felt this jaw difficulties in my physical body, and something strange happened. I was able to feel this dual presence there, and at the same time I was able to adjust my jaw in the physical body while I was there with my parents doing the energy work. And my body agreed somehow to bring the jaws into more comfortable position, and then I continued to be with my parents there. Then I noticed my hands became so much warm. This feeling of warmth was around the palm of both hands because I was using both of my hands, and it really, really became warm. And this warmth, again, I was feeling both in the non-physical body where I was with my parents and in the physical body, and I was also noticing the sleeping position my body was at that moment. So this dual presence has been a new thing these days in my latest experiences. After doing some energy work, I got pulled back in my body again. Again, I thought I could just try to get out once more, and I was able to get out. And this time something a little strange happened. I did not get out as in roll out of the bed. I just stood up outside. And something very funny happened. I saw the mirror and I saw my reflection, and this part of the face didn't have any beard. This was strange, and I was looking at the mirror and saying, where did my beard go? As I was rubbing my hand, the beard started to show up again, and I thought, well, this is funny, but I'm definitely in the OB state. And at the same time, I started hearing my friends in the apartment talking, and it was already 2:30 or 2:40, and then I wanted to just go and tell them to be a little quiet because people are sleeping or something like that. So I went to their room, and I saw them sitting there and talking. I approached one of them and said, guys, could you please tone down a little bit? And they agreed, and I apologized, and knowingly that they may not remember me, that I was there. Maybe their subconscious would remember me or something. But they stopped talking and went to sleep after that, probably. And after that, I jumped out of the window. And then I saw on the street many people there. I approached one of them and started talking. I was moving around here and there, talking with different people, and at some point I got back in my body. But I don't remember any conversation, which is like one of the themes of my recent out-of-body experiences, is that I don't remember longer conversations, but I remember the act or the things that happened. Remembering conversation is still difficult for me. Then I woke up and recorded the experience on my phone and checked the sleep time on my watch and realized that this whole thing happened around the duration of 30 minutes on the actual physical time. However, it felt longer for me when I was there. So moving on to OBE 42, I had another busy day in this school and was not able to meditate at all. And in the evening, I lay down on my bed to try and meditate before going to sleep. But I couldn't complete 1 hour meditation, and around 48 minutes, my body started to feel uncomfortable and I just wanted to move and stop the meditation. So I stopped the meditation and then just went to sleep, repeating my affirmations. And I woke up around 4 a.m. feeling that my rest was complete. But since I had a few hours more, I wanted to try to get out of body and lay down repeating affirmations. But at some point I fell asleep. But around 6 a.m., I started to feel the air pulsations and I was excited. And I waited for the connection to be established. And as it did, I rolled out of my body. It felt completely dark, everything. It was a bit difficult to move. So I was using my hands to move around by pressing my hands against the wall. And at the same time, I felt this dual presence of touching my hand against the table from my physical body and of touching the wall from my non-physical hand while out of body. Then I approached the window, I opened it and felt a gentle breeze of air. And I thought to myself, this is not possible. So I was trying to see by moving my hands if I can feel the air around. I was not sure if it was air or it was just some energy or what, but I was able to feel something there. Then I pinched my hand and proved that I was already out of my body. But as I was about to jump, I was still not sure completely whether I was in physical or non-physical body. And thinking about my physical body brought me back completely to my body. But I realized that I could get out again because the connection was still there. So I rolled out of the bed at this time and immediately approached the window. And again, I felt the table on the bedside as I was climbing up the window using my hands. This was again funny for me. And as I jumped out, I repeated my affirmations, higher self now, higher self now. I kept on saying that. Everything was dark, nothing was visible or clear. But I started to rise up and slowly the speed was increasing as I was rising up. Then unconsciousness followed. For a moment there was nothingness. Then I started to rotate around on horizontal axis with the feeling that I was inside the physical body, lying down on a bed, but then rotating counterclockwise. The feeling was that I was rising up and at the same time I was also in the physical body where I was rotating counterclockwise. And as I was noticing this, just nothing more happened. I was just back in my body and I realized I couldn't get out anymore. So I decided to just wake up and record the experience. And I've also noticed that every time I say higher self now, there's some sort of motion as if I'm moving upwards. And in one of my previous experience, I saw colors change around me. And in another experience, I saw what it felt to me like pictures of a whole lifetime passing by very fast, one after another. And it stopped at a picture of me seeing somebody on a bed, very old and in the moment of dying, or that's what I felt when I was seeing those images. But apart from that, the general common theme is of upward movement when I call higher self now. and now the 43rd, the latest OBE so far. During the daytime, I was able to meditate about 45 minutes in the school, and later in the evening, while I was cleaning the apartment, I was listening to the audio Guru Amantran Dhyaan that I had created, and at the same time repeating affirmations on my mind. And after that, I sat for meditation for about an hour, and after that I lay down, repeating the affirmations, and soon fell asleep. During the sleep, I faintly felt the air pulsations being present, but I couldn't do anything about it because I was tired and I just needed rest. But around 3:30 a.m., I started to feel the pulsations again, and this time I was able to focus on it and get ready to get out once the connection was established. As it did, I was able to feel the part of body locked, still inside physical body, and part of body just free. First, I tried to get up from my head. I was not able to do that. So I tried to move my legs, and legs were moving very freely. So I jumped using my legs, and I extended my hands to hold the table and completely pulled myself out from the body. I realized that it was all dark and I couldn't see. And at the same time, I could see if I tried to open my eyes, but I didn't want my physical eyes to be opened at the same time because of these proximity effects. So I didn't care about it. I made a test by pinching myself and it didn't hurt. So I approached the window, opened it, and jumped out. It was still dark outside and I wanted to see clearly. So I was repeating in my mind, I want to see clearly like a daytime. It didn't turn out to become like a daytime, but I was able to see clearly. And the more I repeated the affirmation, the more clear it became, but it didn't become like a daytime. So I accepted what I was saying and I was floating around. Slowly, the place started to change to what it felt like flatlands of Nepal, Tarai region. The road, the houses, everything looked like Tarai region. And as I was observing one house there, I saw two small boys riding on a bike, and they were able to see me and communicate with me. And I was talking with them as we were moving, and slowly I started to rise up and up. I didn't want to leave that space. I wanted to continue talking with them, but I was just going up. So one of them tried to grab what felt like a fabric, maybe astral fabric that I had, and it didn't work. He just tore a piece of that fabric and I continued to go up. As I looked forward, I saw from the trees some area that looked like it had some light or sunlight around that. I thought I want to go to that direction, but I was moving upwards. And I tried to adjust my position to see that place again, but everything in the distance was dark again. So I thought I'm not going to crash again in the tree and get into nothingness. So I continued to go up. And at this point, I was above the tree line and I saw a tower there. So I approached the tower, went to the top and looked around like a panoramic view. And I saw that in the distance, there were some hills and beyond the hills were mountains and one particular mountain had light in it, like evening golden sunlight. And I thought in my mind, yes, that's where I want to go. And I started to move towards that direction. I passed through small hills on the way and different houses and things like that. And I was approaching a place very close to what it felt like an area in Nepal, in Kathmandu. As I was approaching that place, I saw a truck was coming downhill and suddenly it got into accident. It rolled over and then went back to its normal upright position, but it had already caught an accident by rolling over. I was seeing the driver as the accident was taking place, and when the truck was already back at its upright position, the driver was already out. I approached this driver. He was in two places, inside the truck and outside as well. And I tried to communicate with him that was outside, but it felt like he didn't see me or he was totally absorbed with the situation, that he was focused completely in that situation. He was in a loop of something or some thoughts in his own mind and totally consumed with that. So I didn't want to disturb him anymore. And at this point, I felt a pull in my body and I was getting back. I couldn't control it and I was totally back. Again, I tried to get out and it was still difficult this time as well. So I tried to pull myself out using my hands and some objects in the room. And I was out from the bed. I approached the window. I jumped out. And it felt like this nothingness space. And I repeated in my mind again and again that I want to see clearly. and suddenly the space starts forming in front of me, and I notice I'm exactly in the same spot where I was before, but this time I was able to see things very clearly. I could see this astral counterpart of a physical space that I know back in Nepal, and this had buildings, roads, trees around, and particularly a very strange plant. It looks like a small garden plant, but it was taller than me, and it had brown, purplish, violet kind of flower, and it was waving very smoothly. And I touched the leaf of this flower, and it felt so soft. I have never experienced such a leaf or such a plant at all in the physical space. And I was astonished with this view, with the clarity, and that everything had a certain vibration to it, very subtle and filled with glow. I was observing around, and I saw at a little distance a small boy. He was laying on the ground on a little bump of grass, and I felt that he was sad or was crying or something. So I approached him and I asked if he can see me, and he said yes, he can see me. And I asked, what happened? Why are you crying? Do you feel sad for something? And he said nothing much, and I didn't understand what that meant. Then I asked, how old are you? He said 9 years old, and for some reason I asked, have you died? And the boy said, no, I have not died, I'm still alive. But he looked still sad to me, and I tried to cheer him up by telling him about astral projection. I told him, you can get out of your body and fly around. He didn't believe me. So I told him that at the moment I'm out of my body and I can fly and you can fly too. And he didn't believe that. He wanted me to prove. So I decided to rise up a little bit from the ground. I was about to do that. Then I noticed my watch is on the right hand and it broke. It crushed into pieces, and I gathered all of these pieces, put it on my right pocket on my pants, on my astral pants. Then I continued to rise up, and he was seeing that, and at the same time I was feeling that I was getting pulled back in my body. So I observed a 360 around to remain there. It worked, but also I saw the same man coming down from a small path which was down. So this whole area was like a hilly slope, and the boy was about here, and there was a road here, and he was coming down, and I was seeing him there, and he saw me like an apparition, like he could see me, but at the same time couldn't see me, something like that. And he was still in the same thought pattern that he had. Then I heard a voice of a woman who was calling this boy, and this house was now all the way like top here somewhere. So boy here, man here, me somewhere here, and there was this house. And I saw this woman call this boy, and for some reason she pulled me by grabbing my hands, and now we were inside of this house. And I saw a little girl at the corner. She was not responding. She was not saying anything. She was just there. And she felt a bit sad as well, but I'm not sure why she was not responding or doing anything. And in the wall, I saw 2 pictures of a man, and this woman pinched me on my arm and showed me the picture on the wall and said, when he left, everything went bad and we're now suffering, something like that. Somehow I felt that I knew this man, and I was saying to her, you don't need to worry about this man, and this man is in good hands. But she did not listen to what I was saying, and again grabbed my hands and continued the same pattern of thoughts. And now I understood that this was a loop, and I didn't want to be in that loop, and I didn't want her to just grab me all the time. So I said in my mind, that's it, I'm out. And with that thought, I was just pulled back immediately to my body, and I didn't want to go out anymore. It felt like the experience was filled with people who were in some sort of loop that they were living. I couldn't communicate with the little girl, so I don't know about her, but this woman and this man felt like they are in some sort of loop. This man was not the same as the man in the pictures, but somehow the whole event is related with people being in a loop state. The boy, however, did not feel that he was in a loop. He was completely able to communicate with me and interact with me. And I felt that as he saw that I was rising up a little bit from the ground. He was excited as well to learn that or something like that. And even though the place was very beautiful, certain glow to it, certain vibration to it, I felt still there are people who are living in their own thought patterns, that they cannot see anything else than their thought patterns. It felt very weird for me. While meeting this woman, I had a little bit fear in me because she was grabbing my hands and pulling me and pinching on my arms. But this fear soon went away as I was interacting with them and seeing the photo of this person and somehow knowing that this person is in a safe hands. And when I was out of this experience, a little part of the fear was in me, but I prayed for them, used my thought to ask for forgiveness and also forgive them for this experience. Then I thanked my guide for taking me there in this experience, because I know that this must have been my guide that put me in this situation, which I had asked for before, to take me into different situations and to train me while I'm out of my body. So it was a very strong experience nevertheless. And this gives me excitement that I'm continuously learning. Well, see you after the next experience.